Hello students, in this class we shall discuss what is a potentiometer and what is its function. So potentiometer is a device that is used to measure the EMF of an unknown cell, and it can also be used for measuring the internal resistance of a known cell having some electromotive force. This is the first application. In this case, we shall discuss how the potentiometer is used to measure the value of electromotive force of an unknown cell. Okay, here is the configuration. Let us first understand what this configuration is saying. You see here, B is a battery, R is a variable resistor, switch here K is a switch. From point A up to point C in this path, these are the elements connected. But if you go in this path from point A to C, this one is a resistive wire. So this point A to C in this manner, okay, in this manner. Now one thing I will tell you later, this is a resistive wire, okay, A to C. Now forget about these things, because this end is open now, it is not connected anywhere. So that means this part is not operating, okay. That means if whatever battery is giving current to the circuit, that will pass through this path. It cannot in this path go in this path because this end is open. It will go like this in this path and it will complete the loop in this path. That means current is going like this, like this, like this, like this, like this, okay. That means initially current is already flowing. Here E1 represents a cell having EMF E1. E2 represents a cell having EMF E2. And this is a three-way switch. What is three-way switch? In a three-way switch, you can see in this, on this side there are two ends or two terminals, on the other side there is only one terminal. That means at a time we can connect only 1 to 3 or only 2 to 3. At a time you can connect either 1 to 3 or 2 to 3. If you connect 1 to 3, then 2 will be disconnected. If you connect 2 to 3, then 1 will be disconnected. Very simple. Alternatively, you can connect them. Now this is a galvanometer. Now this is the other end of the galvanometer. Now come to the operation. Now let us suppose E1 is known to us. E1 is known electromotive force. Now first we shall connect this E1 and 3. Okay. Now let us connect this 1 and 3. That means 2 will be disconnected from the circuit. Now connect this end to this part. From A to C, you can connect this end to any part. Okay. This one, this one. But what is the purpose of connecting? Okay, I will tell you. First of all, suppose this part is connected here. Then if you connect it, how the current is now flowing? Now we have to look it. You see current enters here. Initially it was not going in this path, it was going like this. But now if there is some path for the current, then current will definitely flow. Now look how the path is there. From A to this, in this way, through E1, to 1, then to 3, because these two are connected. 3 to this path through galvanometer, then through this path to this point here in this path. Because current cannot go in the opposite direction. Here already is current from coming from A. Okay. So how the current will flow? It will go like this, this path, then this path, then this path. Here is the complete circuit. So now we are going to apply KVL or Kirchhoff's loop rule for this loop. Okay. So for applying the Kirchhoff's loop rule, I have to start from some particular point and I have to end at that particular point also. Okay. So I will start from A. Okay. Now you must be thinking, this battery comes in the loop also, and without this battery and this resistor, there is another loop also. From A through E1 through 1, 3, then galvanometer to this point, and in this path if you go, we are again at point A. That means this is also a loop. Here current cannot go in this path, but still current is flowing in this path. In KCL, in KVL or the Kirchhoff's loop rule, don't worry about the direction of the current. You have to check whether the loop is completed or not, whether the loop is open or closed. If it is closed, then definitely go for the Kirchhoff's loop rule. If the loop is not closed, then Kirchhoff's loop rule cannot be applied there. Very simple. So now I will apply KVL or Kirchhoff's loop rule in this path, and in this path up to A. So I will simply exclude these parts. Okay. So let us start from A. If you start from A, suppose the current is flowing like this. Suppose current goes like this. Now the first element the current faces is E1. E1 is a cell which is decreasing the potential. You can see current is entering here. If current is entering, E1 is opposing it. That's why it will be minus. So first I shall write minus E1. Okay. Then go through 1, 3, because this is a simple connection, so no need to worry. Now go through the galvanometer. Here galvanometer, we can assume it to be an ideal galvanometer. Okay, that means its drop is 0. So through this it comes like this and come to this point. Now from this point we are interested in this path. That means some voltage must be dropping here. Here current is flowing. This where is also a resistor. That means voltage is dropping here. But we are interested in a particular position of this pointer where the current through the galvanometer is 0. I am coming again. This end is flexible. We can move it from A to C. We can connect this end at any point from A to C. At a certain or particular point, it is quite possible that the galvanometer will show 0 deflection. That means current in this path is 0. So let that particular point be N1. N1 is the point where the galvanometer shows 0 deflection or no current flows through this path. So from A to C you can vary this point and at N1 we are getting the current through the galvanometer 0. So from N1 to A, I am coming to my original loop. My loop was like this, and like this. Now my current enters here, goes like this up to N1. It goes like this, but here current cannot go because another current is flowing in this manner. So here we do not know what is the value of this current, but we can simply say that this current is opposing our loop current, because our loop current is going like this. but this current is already coming in the opposite direction. That means it opposes. So I will write opposes means minus. First of all, minus. But one more thing, this is not a source, it is a drop. Why drop? Because this is a resistor and current is already flowing through it. That means some potential is being dropped across it. So resistor cannot supply potential, it always consumes. That's why, what is the value of drop again? Here we do not know what is the value of this resistance. So how to find out the drop? Let us suppose from A to N1 the length is A to N1, the length is L1. Let us suppose. And let us also suppose that from A to C the total drop across the resistor per unit length phi is equal to total voltage drop per unit length. Okay, from A to C there must be some definite value of potential that is dropped across AC from A to C. Total drop by, sorry, total length, not unit length, total length. Total drop by total length is nothing but potential drop per unit length. From A to C, total drop whatever, from A to C, total length whatever, but we are interested in potential drop per unit length. Okay, if phi is potential drop per unit length, what will be the drop from A to N1? Because from A to N1 length is L1, so drop will be phi L1. Drop from A to N1 is equal to phi L1. Potential drop per unit length into length of the element chosen. So this is the drop now. Now always we know that in KVL drop is always represented as negative. So I will put here minus phi L1. I am repeating, why this minus sign and why this minus sign. First of all, why this minus sign? Because our current is going like this, but existing current is opposing our current. That's why I have put one minus sign. Next, why this minus sign? This minus sign is because this is a drop, this is not a supply. That means it consumes, decreases the potential always. That's why minus phi L1. Now we have already at point A, have reached at point A, so we cannot go further. That means loop ends here. If loop ends here, so nothing to write more, so just put is equal to 0. This implies it will be minus E1 plus phi L1 is equal to 0. And from this E1 is equal to phi L1. Now this is equation 1. This is equation 1. Okay. Now everything is over. We got this equation by connecting 1 to 3. Now again come to 2 to 3 connection. That means E1 is now disconnected, E2 is connected to the circuit. So current will not flow in this path, definitely. This is open now. Current will flow through this path. From A to this point, this cell through 2 to 3 through galvanometer again, but here there is no guarantee that at N1 we will get zero deflection through galvanometer. No guarantee. So it could be some other point. So let that point be. So some other point means suppose that point is this point. Let N2 be that point where we get zero deflection through galvanometer. That means galvanometer does not show any indication of the current flowing through the circuit. Okay. Now again go to the KVL or Kirchhoff's loop rule. Start from point A. From point A we can see E2 is opposing our current, so minus E2. Then E2 to from point 2 to 3 this is connected. Then through galvanometer, again galvanometer drop is 0, and through this point up to N2, through N to this path again. But here let the length be L2. Let from point to N2, point A to N2 is equal to L2. Then what is the drop from A to N2? Drop from A to N2 is equal to definitely phi L2. Potential drop per unit length into length of the element chosen. So drop from this to this is phi L2. Now again same thing, our current is flowing like this, that means this current is opposing our current, so minus sign first, and this is a drop, that's why again I have to write minus phi L2 equals to 0. Now from this we are getting E2 is equal to phi L2. This is equation number 2. Okay, so look at these equations. E1 is EMF of cell 1. This is known to us. Phi is unknown to us, obviously. But don't worry about this. Why? You will understand shortly. Phi is potential drop per unit length of the potentiometer. This is actually a potentiometer. Okay. So this resistive wire. Okay. Now L1 is the length of from A to N1. That was the neutral point when E1 was connected. Now similar is the case for E2. That means E2 is EMF of cell 2. Phi L2 is new length obtained in the process. Now if you divide equation 1 by and 2, so from these equation 1 by equation 2, it will be E1 by E2. This is equal to phi L1 by phi L2. Implies E1 by E2 is equal to L1 by L2. So this is the final equation. So of course L1 is known to us because we can measure the length of the L1 when the galvanometer will be showing 0. Similarly, we can measure the length of L2, that is from A to N2, when the galvanometer will be showing 0. So in both cases L1 L2 will be obtained. Now E1 is known to us from the beginning. Now E2 is the unknown EMF to be determined. So from this equation we can simply find out what is the value of the EMF of this unknown cell. So with this, the first application of your potentiometer is over. Okay, so in the next video we shall discuss how to determine the internal resistance of an unknown cell. Okay, in this case we are not considering the internal resistance. In another application we shall determine how to find out its internal resistance. Okay, thank you.